Cleveland radio host Tony Rizzo says that Shedeur Sanders will start, according to his sources, will start the last four games for the Browns. We've got to talk about it, why Rizzo was going on record saying this, and why I think it's important, not just for Shedeur, but for the Browns as well. We'll talk about it all right here after the bumper. Stay tuned. What is going on, everybody? What is going on, everybody? My name is JeffLightsyJr. This is the Victory Formation Sports Show right here on JeffLightsYjr, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you get your content. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and notification bell as I upload all the time. Now, Tony Rizzo is a sports radio, talk radio host out of Cleveland. He may have become one of the most famous sports talk radio hosts in all the country, at least on my algorithm, since Shedeur Sanders was drafted to the Cleveland Browns. That's not to say Tony Rizzo wasn't a well-known person in Cleveland before Shedeur got to Cleveland, but Rizzo has been standing on the table, pounding the table, standing on the table to get Shedeur Sanders to play in games that matter for the Cleveland Browns this season. Tony Rizzo has been the number one supporter in local sports talk radio in the city of Cleveland for Shedeur Sanders, or at least he's been the loudest. Maybe not he's been the number one, but he's been the loudest, and he has taken over my algorithm all season long. And now Rizzo is going on record saying that his sources are telling him out of ESPN Cleveland that Shedeur Sanders will start the final four games of the season over Dillon Gabriel for the Cleveland Browns. Now, you know, the Cleveland Browns started the season with Joe Flacco. They somewhat silly traded him to the Cincinnati Bengals, and now he's kind of balling out over there. But they've been starting Dillon Gabriel, and he's been all right. Yeah, he's been all right. They won the last game. They blew out the Dolphins, but the Dolphins have imploded. They're a mess. And the Cleveland Browns have been a mess, but the defense has been awesome. Let's be clear. The Cleveland Browns defense has been awesome. They just need to be able to score points. I don't think Dillon Gabriel can see over the line. That's just my personal opinion. It doesn't look like he can. And Rizzo is saying that his sources are telling him that the Browns will start Shedeur the last four games of the season. Let's listen to Rizzo say it himself and what he's hearing on his end down there in Cleveland. Let's take a listen.
I need to see Shedeur when they're going to give him a chance. And by that, I mean, they have to tell him he's starting on Monday. Like, it's not going to happen anytime soon. I get it. But you got the Patriots, then the bye week. I was told by two different sources yesterday.
So two different sources, not just one, but two. He said he was told by two different sources. Let's listen.
At the stadium.
And he was told by two different sources at the stadium. That's big because that means they're in the building. These are people that are there tapping in, not just Browns. ESPN Cleveland, the home, by the way. So he's not just going out there saying this on a whim. Let's keep listening.
At the stadium. I was told by two different sources. One said Shedeur, Chris, will start the last four games of the season, no matter what.
Wow.
Unless the Browns win every game through the Titans week, Shedeur will play the Bears, Bills, Steelers, and Bengals. They want to see he could be in play earlier than that.
So Rizzo was saying, and shout out to Tony Rizzo, the Tony Rizzo Show. You can go check that out if you want to tap in with Cleveland sports and what's going on with Shedeur Sanders. He's saying that his sources are telling him he's going to get the last four games, if not earlier than that. And that to me makes sense because it's not like Dillon. One, you did draft him in the fifth round. You might as well see what you have. You have 2 first-round picks in the 2026 draft. Your pick's going to be really high. Jacksonville's pick, I don't know where it's going to land. They're kind of imploding right now. They just got blown out by the Rams. Who knows how their season kind of shakes up? You have their first-round pick. Who knows how that ends up? And if Shedeur gets those last four games, once again, it's not like Dillon Gabriel is setting the world on fire. If you look at Dillon Gabriel's numbers and if you watch the games, he hasn't been that good. Like the game against Miami was wet. It was rainy. It was nasty looking, but these were Dillon Gabriel's numbers. Quinshon Judkins went crazy. He had 3 touchdowns. Dillon Gabriel completed 13 passes for 116 yards. I mean, that's not a guy that's setting the world on fire. That is obviously not franchise quarterback guy, but that's definitely not a guy that just like, I can't play Shedeur for that guy. No, that's against a one-win football team. The Miami Dolphins were a one-win football team going into that game against Cleveland. And if you look at, and then the game that just ticked everybody off was the game against Pittsburgh, where Dylan Gabriel threw the ball 52 freaking times and barely had 200 yards passing. 29 of 52, 221 yards. Once again, 0 touchdowns. 0 touchdowns. You have to see what Shedeur has. And guess what? I believe Shedeur has more than that. Because guess what? Shedeur had more than that in college. He had more than that against Dylan Gabriel when we saw both of them play. Now, can you say Shedeur needs to mature? Can you say Shedeur needs to do better things? Can you say Shedeur needs to be a better teammate? Sure, whatever. But Shedeur's better than that. Like, Shedeur's going to give you more than that. And now, yes, Cleveland, you are a mess. You're a train wreck. But you actually have a solid defense. You may have found something when you drafted those 2 running backs out of college in Quinshon Judkins and Dylan Sampson. You have 2 young, good tight ends in Harold Fannin and Njoku. You need a number 1 receiver, Jerry Jeudy, but Jeudy can't get the ball because Dylan Gabriel can't get him the ball. Jerry Jeudy was a Pro Bowler last year. He can't get the ball. Dylan Gabriel can't get him the ball. You can run the ball effectively. Your defense is playing lights out. You still have Myles Garrett, one of the scariest men on the planet. Give yourself a chance and put Shedeur Sanders in the game. And I believe Rizzo. I believe Tony Rizzo. I believe when he went to the game that somebody told him that 2 different sources at the game told him that Shedeur was going to play this year, that he's going to get the last 4 games, if not more. And he laid out those games to you. Now, especially with the Bills, who could be fighting for playoff position, especially with the Bears, who could be looking to fight for a playoff spot. I'm not going to say these games aren't going to be easy, but it's the NFL. No game is easy. No game's supposed to be easy. Maybe games against the Miami Dolphins nowadays are easy, like as the Browns just found out, because Dylan Gabriel was able to beat that team going away, but for only throwing for 111 yards. So maybe games against the Miami Dolphins are easy right now, but it's the NFL freaking L. The games are not supposed to be easy. And so give Shedeur a chance. Gabriel, you're seeing that this is a decent enough sample size between his tape in college and now these games in the pros. It's a decent enough sample size to know what you have in Dylan Gabriel. And it ain't much. It was never going to be much. It ain't much. It's never going to be much. Dylan Gabriel is going to end up being a really good coach one day. Like, if he wants to do that, by the way. He's going to end up being Kellen Moore. Good OC, a good coach. But he physically just doesn't have it to play quarterback in the NFL at a high level. He just physically doesn't have it. He's little. His little arms. He's a little man. It's in a big man's game. You need to see what you have in Shedeur Sanders. I think you have a budding good player. Shedeur just has to mature. To me, it was never about what Shedeur could do physically. It was never about what Shedeur could do on the field. It was all about in between the ears. It was all about the mental. It was all about making sure he understands that he's not Deion Sanders. He's Shedeur Sanders. That's what it was always about. But you know what Dylan Gabriel is. He's a limited quarterback, and that's okay. He can play 10 years being a limited quarterback. I saw Case Keenum do it. I saw a bunch of players do it. Blake Bortles did it. I saw a bunch of dudes, and some of these guys are big. I saw, a bunch of players who were limited physically. Kellen Moore did it for a while. But that's what Dylan Gabriel is. Shedeur, you need to see what that is, because that could potentially be, not saying it will, but potentially be your franchise quarterback. We know Dylan Gabriel isn't that. You know who's kicking themselves in the tail right now? Because they don't have Shedeur? I know I go on my tangents all the time. My freaking team, the Raiders. Have you guys seen Geno Smith? Have you guys seen the way Geno Smith is playing right now? The Raiders ran 30 effing plays on Sunday. The Chiefs had 30 first downs. Think about that. The Raiders ran 30 plays. The Chiefs had 30 first downs. The Raiders had 95 yards of total offense. 95 yards of total offense. The Chiefs, I think, had over 400. Brady couldn't use that in Vegas. Pete Carroll couldn't use that in Vegas. All these teams that passed up on Shedeur are kicking themselves right now. They're kicking themselves right now, including the Raiders. And if the Browns don't make a change, they'll be kicking themselves too, because they'll end up trading Shedeur away to somebody like the Raiders, and he'll go there and ball out, because I still think Shedeur Sanders is a legitimate, really good NFL future quarterback. And, the Browns will be stuck with a guy like Dylan Gabriel. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Shedeur Sanders allegedly will get the last 4 games, at least the last 4 games of the season for the Browns, no matter what, according to ESPN Cleveland's Tony Rizzo. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Once again, my name is JeffLightsYJr. This is the Victory Formation Sports Show right here on JeffLightsYJr, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you content. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, because I upload all the time. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Peace.